We looked at how the NFL views the defense. Now the offense. What is up, Fin fans? Hope you enjoyed last night's late night video. You might be like, hey, Doug, you're wearing the same thing again. Well, that's the whole thing turning. You might be saying to yourself, hey, Doug, you're wearing the same thing. It's because I'm recording this last night as well. So if you guys remember, I think it was like last week, I talked about how the NFL views the Miami Dolphins defense, and that's because Jeremy Fowler with ESPN had executives, coaches, scouts, players rank their top 10 in defensive positions, and I looked at them and we talked about where the Dolphins were. Now I'm doing it on the offense. So they did wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, tackles, interior offensive linemen, and quarterbacks. Now I'm doing quarterbacks last. A little bit of suspense for you guys. Is Tua on the list? Is Tua not on the list? What do they have to say about Tua? Whatever. We'll get to that because that is going to be the last category I'm going to jump into. So let's minimize myself. I'll put myself on this side. And we're going to look at it. And it is on, I think, ESPN Plus. Yeah, so I have it. I got it for you guys so we can look at this stuff. So, again, the NFL season, we surveyed executive coaches, scouts, players to help us rank the top 10 and 11 positions. And they're done, right? July 18th, they did wide receivers. July 18th was yesterday. So they did, they started with tight ends, running backs, offensive tackles, guards and centers, quarterbacks, and then yesterday was wide receivers. So we're starting with wide receivers. Justin Jefferson, number 1. That could be, up for interpretation. Devontae Adams, number 2. Jamar Chase, number 3. Tyreek Hill, number 4. I would probably put Tyreek Hill at number 2. I think Justin Jefferson is incredibly dynamic. I put Tyreek Hill at number 2. I think he's a little low. No way around it. Hill dominated in his first season of Miami, showing he's far from dependent on quarterback Patrick Mahomes to remain elite. I just want to say this. When he joined the Dolphins, and this is going to be a big fat I told you so. When he joined the Dolphins, so many people were like, oh, I give it till mid-season. He's going to be complaining because Tua can't get him the ball deep. And he's going to be complaining because Tua sucks. And he's going to be complaining. It's the second year, and he's still praising Tua in the offseason and still talking about how good this team is going to be. So a lot of those people can kick rocks. His metrics are eye-opening. He led the NFL in yards gained per route, despite 33% target shared. I'll repeat that one more time. Despite a 33% target share. Some people are like, just focus on... Okay. Also leading the league. He got open 45.3% of his routes, an impressive 12.2 air yards per target. His 1,710 receiving yards were most for a receiver in the first year with a franchise. Cornerbacks are still scared that he'll run by them. They give him a huge cushion and can win underneath, a veteran NFL scout says. Having a different quarterback didn't take the luster off for him. Some still see Hill as a bit scheme dependent, despite having come a long way as a route runner. He won't give you comeback routes, dig routes constantly. Still a bit of a vertical gadget guy, an NFC executive said. When he does take less precision than Jefferson or Diggs or Adams because he has more room to work with. I disagree a little bit there. I think, he's dangerous no matter what. And I don't think he's necessarily scheme fit. I would be more afraid of him running a quick comeback, boom, hitting him, and then him taking it up the field. And then where was the... Somebody said something that I was like, I disagree with that. Some still see Hill, blah, blah, blah. He still's come a long way as a route runner. He is, if you ever watch him run routes, the speed and the burst off of him on getting off these routes, Ridiculous. So he's number 4. Number 5, Cooper Kupp. Didn't he get injured last year? Yeah, ankle injury. Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, yes. D.K. Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, C.D. Lamb, CDs. I stopped myself. And then honorable mention, Debo, Mike Evans, T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson, and our boy, Jalen Waddle. The presence of Hill didn't dim Waddle's bright star. He's considered a prime target for any offense. He's not a small gimmick guy. He's the real deal, a senior NFL executive said. I take him over most of the guys in the league. Pure speed, but knows how to win at any level on the field. Dolphins quarterback posted a 119.5 passer rating when targeting Waddle, who finished this year with 1,356 yards and 8 touchdowns. Those, your 1-2 targets had over 1,000 yards receiving. You distributed the ball very well to your 1 and 2 options. It's, how can you knock it? And then Devontae Smith, and then also receiving votes, which was a lot of people: Amon St. Brown, Chris Olave, Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Williams, and Chris Godwin. So those were the wide receivers. Now we'll look at running backs and see what their list. Nick Chubb, man's a beast. Are you surprised by it? Same thing with Christian McCaffrey. It's nice to see him stay healthy and be able to play a full year. Came out and did really good things. Josh Jacobs, number 3, even though league leading 1,653 rushing yards, doesn't have a contract, but he's franchise tag. We'll see what happens with him. Saquon, another guy, franchise tag. Derrick Henry, he's got to stay healthy, and he is getting up there in age, 29. Jonathan Taylor had a good rookie year and then kind of fell off a little bit. Alvin Kamara, I think he's dealing with some legal issues. We'll see how that all pans out. He's ranked 8th. I'm going to read it. Cook's future with Minnesota was in question for much of the offseason, but there's no doubt he's been an elite player throughout his career. He is one of 2 rushers to record at least 1,000 yards in each of the last 4 seasons, along with Chubb last season, marked Cook's career low in yards per carry, but he remained highly productive with 1,173 yards, 8 touchdowns. He also didn't miss a game for the first time in his career, despite suffering a shoulder injury that required off-season surgery. He still has most of everything you want as far as vision, big playability, and an NFC scout said he's probably not as elite as he once was, and he has been injured, but he should be really good for a team. Added an AFC executive. He's still top 5 for me. The burst is still there. He's got the savvy to find holes and capitalize on them. Why would you not want to add this man to your team? That's all I'm going to say. We're going to move on. Tony Pollard, another guy who's playing on a franchise tag. Austin Eckler, a guy who wants more money. He wants a contract extension. And they got honorable mentions. Aaron Jones, Damian Pierce, huge guy for the Houston Texans. Breece Hall, how is he going to do off that ACL injury? Travis Etienne, who I had to learn how to say his name properly because, again, I read phonetically, and that kind of looked like Etienne to me. Ramondre Stevenson, big player for your New England Patriots, and a big reason why I don't think Dalvin Cook is any type of discussion for New England, because why are you going to pay him as much as he wants? And you have Ramondre there. Kenneth Walker III, and then you have also received votes: Javonte Williams, Najee Harris, Miles Sanders, and A.J. Dillon. No Raheem Mostert and no Jeff Wilson. Are you surprised, though? Like, Raheem Mostert maybe could have, deserved some votes, but now let's move on to tight ends. We're not going to have any tight ends on here, but let's look at the rankings. Travis Kelce, of course, number 1. George Kittle, Greg Kittle, of course, number 2. Mark Andrews. This list is Dallas Goedert. Good for him. Darren Waller, he's now with the Giants, even though he didn't play much of last year. Surprised he's this high. I'd probably put Hawkinson above him, but you got Hawkinson, Kyle Pitts, He missed some time. Again, missed 7 games. Evan Ingram just got a new contract. He was franchise tagged, and they gave him a contract the day before it was due. Freiermuth and Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox is a big red zone guy for the Buffalo Bills. Honorable mention, Dalton Schultz, David Njoku, Noah Fant, Tyler Higbee, Hunter Henry, and Cole Kmet. And guys who receive votes, Mike Gesicki, Gerald Everett, Zach Ertz, Logan Thomas, Juwan Johnson, and Josh Oliver. No Dolphin tight end's going to receive any votes. And, Mike Gesicki got a vote. But, yeah, no, not happening there. And then we're going to go to tackles. So far, we got 2 wide receivers on this list. No running back, no tight ends. Let's see if we can get possibly a tackle. So, if you saw on the defensive side, we had rusher. We had Jalen Phillips on there by now. We had Christian Wilkins on there by now. We had even Jerome Baker getting some type of vote. Each level of our defense got some votes. Trent Williams, of course. Laramie Tunsil. Gave us a lot, man. Tristan Wirfs, Lane Johnson, should have took him over. I don't want to look it up. Deion Jones, should have took him. Look at this, 2 Philadelphia Eagles on there. No wonder. Not gonna say anything. Penei Sewell, Andrew Thomas, Rashawn Slater, Christian Darrisaw, and Colton Miller. So no Teron Armstead in the top 10. Honorable mention, though, you got Ryan Ramczyk, and then you got Teron Armstead. Armstead posted a career best 75.1% run block win rate last season. A year or 2 ago, he was definitely in the elite, a veteran AFC scout said, but the injuries he's had over the course of his career, he's still tough as nails, but injuries have showed up on him with his anchor and bend. So that's why he didn't make the top 10. He's dealing with those injuries. David Bakhtiari, Brian O'Neill, and Tyron Smith. And then receive votes, Jawan Taylor, Orlando Brown Jr., Jake Matthews, Deion Dawkins, who has a problem with Christian Wilkins, and Taylor Dackett and Tyler Mawton. Mawton? Those are your tackles. So Teron Armstead gets an honorable mention. It's because he's banged up. Prove him wrong this year, Teron. Prove him wrong. And then you got interior. Will we get an interior guy? Let's see. There's a lot. So Zach Martin, Joe Thuney, Quentin Nelson. I will say this. I have a feeling it's going to break my heart seeing some names on here. Elgton Jenkins. Say your last name. Joel Benino. Batani. I gotta laugh at myself. Joel Batanio. Jason Kelsey, of course. And here where it starts to hurt a little bit. Like Chris Lindstrom. I wanted the Dolphins to draft him. Creed Humphrey. I wanted the Dolphins to draft him. I think the Dolphins could have drafted Creed Humphrey instead of taking Liam Eichenberg. I think that was the year. And it breaks my heart that he's on this list. Brandon Scherfs, the Dolphins could have signed him from the Washington football team, but they didn't. Frank Ragnow. I don't know if I was interested in him. Then you have honorable mentions. Eric McCoy, Trey Smith, Landon Dickerson, Corey Lindsley. The Dolphins could have went after him, but decided not to. Wyatt Teller, Mike Onwenu. Then you have other receiving votes. Elijah Vera Tucker, Lincoln Tomlinson, Ryan Jensen, Ryan Kelly, and Quinnen Miners, who I wanted the Dolphins to draft. No Connor Williams. The 4th best center didn't get a vote. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And then we get to quarterbacks. Of course we get to quarterbacks. And we're going to start, obviously, Patrick Mahomes. Then you have Joe Burrow at number 2. Joe Burrow at number 2. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that one. I don't. I know he went to the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship in his second and third year, but again, the things around him kind of helped with that, is the weapons and his defense. I don't know if I put Joe Burrow number 2. Yeah, Josh Allen number 3. Aaron Rodgers number 4. Even with that one, I don't know. If you go off his play last year, I'm not putting him at number 4. Despite pedestrian for his standards numbers in 2022, Rodgers brings elite quarterback play to the Jets. They're going to make excuses up for him. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that one. Justin Herbert. I'd even put Justin Herbert over Aaron Rodgers. Jalen Hurts. I'd put Jalen Hurts over Aaron Rodgers. Lamar Jackson. Okay, that's not a bad spot. Trevor Lawrence. Dak. Matthew Stafford. Yeah, but if you're going off of last year, Matthew Stafford didn't do really anything. And that's your top 10. I don't know. I told you guys a while back when I was talking about Tua, I'd probably have him just outside the top 10. But looking at who's in the top 10, I could probably see myself putting Tua in over Matthew Stafford. And then you got honorable mention, Deshaun Watson. You have Tua lower than Deshaun Watson? Kirk Cousins. Jared Goff. Derek Carr? You have Tua lower than Derek Carr? I disagree. There he is. Tua Tagovailoa. He was the last honorable mention. I disagree with that one. I wholeheartedly disagree with that one. It's probably because of his injuries, but I disagree with that. I put him over Derek Carr. I put him over Deshaun Watson. I'd probably even put him over Dak Prescott. I disagree with that. Let's see what it says. Tua Tagovailoa showed massive potential. I emphasize that massive. Let me read it normally. Tagovailoa showed massive potential in Coach McDaniel's offense. He was dangerous when he looked to pass, averaging a league-high 8.9 yards per attempt. And out of the pocket, he also led the NFL in QBR 87.9. I did not know that. That's surprising to me because a lot of people equate him to a pocket passer, and a lot of people think he can't improvise. But this right here, out of the pocket, he led the league in QBR. I thought the first 6 to 7 weeks of season last year, he could have been the MVP. Yeah, he was in the race. The NFL coordinator said, I was impressed with his growth. Head injuries are complicated, but I like the direction he's headed. Tagovailoa's durability is concerned among voters after spending multiple stints in the concussion protocol. Even aside from that, maybe don't see him as a top 10 passer. Again, got something to prove, but the durability I get, but come on. He's got very good timing, touch, anticipation, accuracy, all along with good pocket feel, which I agree 1,000%. He doesn't have top mobility and power/arm strength, so there are some limitations. Of course, you look at any quarterback, any great quarterback, and there are some limitations. Some of them have a hard time reading defenses, but they got ridiculous arm and mobility and the physicality there. Some are the opposite. Of course, an AFC executive said he's a true point guard type who needs to get it out quick and distribute to his playmakers, which he's done a good job of. I see nothing wrong with this quote. So again, I bet you if he didn't get injured last year at all, like he had no concussions and he played the full season, for one, I think the Dolphins win more, and for two, I think he's ranked higher. Because you look at his yards per game, and if he continued on that trajectory, he would have had over 4,000 passing yards. And I think he would have had over 30 touchdowns. And that would have bumped him up into that top 10 statistically. It's his big if. It's Tua Tagovailoa's big if, and it's the thing that has held him back a lot throughout his career is his injuries. He's banged up. But again, even with the injuries, I think he would be above Derek Carr. You can call me a homer. It is what it is, or to a lover. I don't care anymore. But he's better than Derek Carr. He's shown it. Deshaun Watson last year. I'm going off of just last year. Deshaun Watson, Matthew Stafford. Again, he won a Super Bowl, but he barely played last year. And then even probably put him over Dak. But again, Dak. The difference is Derek Carr, Dak Prescott, and Deshaun Watson played. They never got injured, and I think that's what kind of put a little in the voting for him. But other than that, I also wouldn't have Aaron Rodgers as high as he was. I'd probably have like Aaron Rodgers at 6, and I'd have Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert above him, and I don't know if I'd have Joe Burrow that high. But he has some good accolades. He's been to the Super Bowl, and then he's been to the AFC Championship. So, but that's what I got for you guys today. What do you think? What do you think of the ranking? The Dolphins just have 2 wide receivers, a tackle. One wide receiver gets the list. The other one, honorable mention. A tackle gets honorable mention, and Tua gets honorable mention. So we get 4 on offense. On defense, we had a safety, we had 2 corners, we had a linebacker, we had a defensive tackle, and we had a rusher. We had 6. So altogether, we had 10 on this list. Defense was a little bit higher when it came to talent-wise. In the NFL's eyes, we'll see. It could change. We'll see what. Also, I don't know if the NFL Network is doing top 100. We'll see how that pans out. But comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said in last night's video, I got a lot of content I need to get out and get to you guys before the start of training camp. So you're going to be getting a lot of videos. So like them, comment below, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. But like usual, stay classy. My friends up.